It felt like just yesterday I was in a constant quarterback battle, but now I was going into my senior year at Washington and I wanted to win a national championship. My other two goals were to get drafted and to win the Heisman Trophy, but since my collegiate career was pretty average up to this point, I was going to need to play perfectly all season to reach my goals because my supporting cast was not good. And as a senior, it was my job to elevate the team's level of play as I handed it off to Cameron Davis. With about 90 seconds left in the half, I found Jalen McMillan for 6, and it was all going so well until I misread my new tight end's route. I'm not gonna lie, I missed having Quentin Moore to throw to, but I had to build new connections, and that is exactly what I did. It wasn't a pretty win, but on third down, I tossed it to Cameron Davis, and he sealed the game for us. Obviously, I didn't play well, but if I wanted to get drafted, I needed to redeem myself against Oregon State. And I started the game off with an early touchdown to Jalen McMillan. He was going to be the receiver I targeted the most this year because he was always open, and I couldn't believe how much separation the senior wide receiver was able to create. I hooked up with Jalen McMillan one last time before the half on this 20-yard touchdown pass, and midway through the third quarter, I ran around the Beaver defense to put my Huskies up 14. By the fourth quarter, the game was pretty much over, and I was just putting on a show where I had 6 total touchdowns. I was taking on an FCS school, so this was my chance to get back into the Heisman race, and I was going to show off so I could hopefully get drafted into the NFL. Corner routes were absolutely killing our opponent, and with about 30 seconds left in the half, Jalen McMillan got wide open and I hit him in stride so he could take it 63 yards to the house and put us up 35. Midway through the third quarter, Rome Odunze finally appeared, and he caught a 41-yard touchdown bomb to increase our lead by even more, and then Jalen Polk routed up the cornerback to catch his second touchdown of the game. After that, Coach took me out because the game was over. The following week, we were taking on USC at home, and we were off to an amazing start. Mark Redmond was becoming my first read on every play, and if we kept playing at this level, we would both get drafted at the end of the year. I honestly couldn't believe how easily Mark Redmond was able to get open on every single route, and he finished with an insane stat line. We were ranked 4th in the nation and sitting at the top of our conference, so this game would decide first place in the Pac-12 North. I was able to get us on the board first by running into the end zone, and to start the second quarter, I found Mark Redmond for 6. Midway through the third, I ran the triple option to perfection, keeping the ball and putting my team up 14. There was nothing Stanford could do to stop our offense, and we were able to pick up our 5th win of the year. Because I had played so well, Deion Sanders now let me change the plays. We were undefeated and taking on our biggest rivals, and I started the game off by finding Jalen Polk in the end zone. On the following drive, I threw this pass to put us up 14, and I couldn't believe how well the game against the Ducks was going as I connected with Rome Odunze with a minute left in the half. We maintained our lead through the third quarter, and we were going into the fourth up 17. I threw another touchdown pass, and I love being able to finally change the play calls. With Deion Sanders trusting me to do that, we were able to cruise to another win, and I finished with a solid stat line. In week 9, we were taking on Vanderbilt, and I had to keep winning if I wanted to get drafted into the NFL, so that's what I did, putting my team up 14 early with 2 passing touchdowns. Even though the Commodores were getting destroyed, they weren't willing to give up, so they made it a 1-possession game, but I led my team all the way down the field until my offensive line let me die on this play. Midway through the third quarter, Jalen Polk got open, and I hit him in stride to put us up 10, but unfortunately, Vanderbilt responded right back, so to end the third quarter, I had to throw another touchdown pass. And then Deion Sanders called one of the most interesting plays I'd ever seen as halfback Cameron Davis threw a pass to an offensive lineman. By midway through the fourth quarter, we were pulling away, and there was nothing that was going to stop me from playing out of my mind and leading this team to a championship. But before the season continues, I have to tell you all about Underdog Fantasy. There's a best ball option where you could win up to $2 million, and all you have to do is draft a team and hope for the best. This was the team that I drafted, and I think I have a really solid receiving core, so hopefully I can win some of those great cash prizes. You can also join fantasy football money leagues with entry fees such as $3, $10, $100, and more. So what are you waiting for? Go to the first link in my description or download Underdog Fantasy and use code Bordeaux. They'll match your first deposit up to $100, and I can't wait to see you all on there. We didn't have a good start at Arizona State as we were down 10 in the second quarter, but with 3 minutes left in the half, I hooked up with Sawyer Rachinali to get us within 3. And after our defense got a huge interception, I found Jalen McMillan to give us the lead. Midway through the third, I connected with Mark Redmond, and then I found Rome Odunze at the end of the quarter, which was enough to get us the win. I was back in the Heisman race, and Washington was ranked 3rd in the country. We were playing at California, and they were a solid team, but they weren't that good. I was able to evade around the Golden Bear defense and run in for a 25-yard touchdown early in the game. On the next drive, my offensive line let California run a train on me, and I couldn't walk after, but I could stand in the pocket and deliver a dot. With about 90 seconds left before the half, somehow it was a tie game, so I let us down the field, but I did all that just to get railed again. Even though my team recovered the fumble, they continued to let me get run through by the whole California defensive line, and by midway through the third quarter, I really needed my offensive line to learn how to block so I could sit back and lead us to victory. They actually did a decent job for a whole drive, and when it was a tie game, I rolled out and connected with Romadunzi for 6. But after California went down and scored, I needed to continue to thrive, and that is what I did, finding Mark Redmond, who was amazing after the catch and fought his way all the way into the end zone. But once again, California scored to tie up the game, and I had 30 seconds to get my team in field goal range. I thought I had done that, but with 5 seconds left, they sent me out for a Hail Mary, so I threw it away. And then Coach called another Hail Mary instead of a field goal, so on the last play of the game, I rolled out, went to win the game, and I threw an interception. But it didn't even matter because on the first play overtime, I found Jalen McMillan in the end zone, so I needed my defense to get a stop on 4th and 7, and they got it. We survived against California, and we were 4 games away from a national championship game. Also, if we won this game against Arizona, we would clinch a spot in the Pac-12 championship, and I started the game off by running for my life, outrunning the Wildcats defense and extending the ball into the end zone. With 2 minutes left in the half, I connected with Jalen Polk for 6, and then midway through the third quarter, I rolled out and scrambled in for my second rushing touchdown of the game. After I threw this pass to Mark Redmond, I set a new school record at Washington, and I was establishing my legacy as a great Husky quarterback. We walked away with a spot in the Pac-12 championship, and I had definitely earned it. We were playing a snow game at home, and I threw this laser to Mark Redmond on my first drive. Then, a minute later, I set another school record for the most passing touchdowns in the season with this wide open bomb to senior Romadunzi. I was dominating college football, but when I went to dive into the end zone, I unfortunately couldn't hold on to the ball, but it didn't matter because I put us up 21 on the next drive. At the start of the second half, I wanted to increase my draft stock, and it skyrocketed after I passed for my 4th touchdown of the game. Deion Sanders took me out after that play, but that was because it was a blowout. This was the most lopsided rivalry game ever, as undefeated Washington took on a winless Washington State team, and I wanted to embarrass them on their own home field. That's exactly what I was doing throughout the whole first quarter, as I outran the entire Cougar defense for this 33-yard touchdown, and with 30 seconds left in the half, I broke this sack and found Jalen McMillan for 6. To start the third quarter, I threw this touchdown pass to my offensive lineman, and my goals were becoming realities as I was a projected first-round pick with 2 huge games coming up. My cannon of an arm was slinging the ball all over the field, and there was nothing the Washington State defense could do to stop me. We won the Apple Cup with ease, and Cougar fans were pissed. I would need to play perfectly in the Pac-12 championship to win the Heisman Trophy, and I was off to a solid start when I connected with my favorite receiving target on the team. At the beginning of the second quarter, I threw the perfect pass on the run to put my team up 11, and after our defense forced a fumble, I threw a 20-yard touchdown to senior Romadunzi. At the end of the third quarter, I threw another dot, which was enough to get us a Pac-12 championship. But it wasn't enough to win the Heisman Trophy. I put up 63 touchdowns, but his 32 as a running back were apparently better. Winning the O'Brien and Maxwell was cool, and it was only possible because of my receivers, but the most important game of my career was coming up, the national championship game versus Ohio State. I played in their home stadium just 4 years ago for the state championship, and now I had a chance to beat my home state team in the biggest game of my career where I was off to an amazing start. Midway through the first quarter, I was taking ankles left and right against the Buckeyes, and then later on that drive, I threw this 37-yard laser to wide receiver Jalen Polk, and we took an early 14-point lead. With 2 minutes left in the first half, I continued to sling the ball all over the Ohio State defense, and I threw for my 3rd touchdown. I couldn't believe it, but I was actually going to win a championship for Washington, and this is exactly why I didn't transfer at the beginning of my career. The reward of winning with the Huskies was way better than anything else, and it felt so good to celebrate the national championship title. Now it was time to see where I'd be drafted, and with the 4th pick of the 2027 draft, the Seattle Seahawks selected me.